The blood rushed to Marcus Hale's face the moment he stepped into the cafe and realized something was very, very wrong. People were staring, some with smirks, some with raised eyebrows, some even lifting their phones trying to hide their laughter behind their cups of coffee. It was the kind of laughter that prickled the back of his neck, the kind that told him everyone in the room knew something he didn't. And then he saw it. The tall woman sitting near the window, dressed elegantly, looking confused and uncomfortable. A single red rose lay on the table between them, the clue he had been told to bring. His heart tightened as the truth washed over him like cold rain. He wasn't here for a date. He was the joke. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that uplift the human spirit, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness. Your support keeps these inspiring stories alive. Marcus stood frozen, wishing the floor would swallow him. He had spent the entire morning preparing. He had borrowed a clean white shirt, slightly too big, from the lost and found at the school where he worked as a janitor. He had pressed it carefully with the small iron in the supply closet. He had even saved enough money to get a haircut from the cheap barber shop 2 blocks from his apartment. For him, this blind date had felt like possibility, a rare chance, something his life didn't offer often. But now, as he stood in the middle of those watching eyes, it felt like a spotlight exposing everything he tried so hard to hide. The loneliness, the quiet struggles, the truth that people rarely looked past his uniform to see the man beneath it. He lowered his gaze and forced himself to move toward the table, feeling as if he were walking underwater. The elegant woman lifted her eyes when she saw him approach. Her expression shifted from curiosity to disbelief, and finally to a polite, strained smile. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't laughing. But she already understood this wasn't what she expected. She gestured awkwardly toward the empty chair, as if trying to be kind. But Marcus knew she wanted this moment to pass quickly. He could feel the heat rising in his chest, the humiliation forming a knot in his throat. He apologized gently, though the words were shaky, and turned away before she could respond. He didn't want her pity. He didn't want anyone's pity. He just wanted to escape the cruel setup that someone somewhere found hilarious. He walked out of the cafe into the bright afternoon sunlight, blinking hard as if that could erase the sting behind his eyes. His hands trembled as he tucked the rose into a trash bin. It had once symbolized hope. Now it only reminded him of how people saw him, a pawn for their amusement. Marcus walked the long route back to Briarwood Elementary School where he worked, sweeping hallways, fixing broken desks, unclogging sinks, and picking up lost papers weren't glamorous jobs, but they were steady. They kept him grounded. They were honest work. And most of the kids treated him kindly. Most, but not all. Even here, he was invisible to many teachers, and to some students, just the janitor. But he had learned to live with it. What hurt him most wasn't the work itself, but the feeling that no matter how hard he tried, life had already made up its mind about him. When he entered the quiet hall near the kindergarten classrooms, he heard soft footsteps rushing toward him. It was little Clara Whitmore, a 5-year-old with tangled blonde hair and the bright, mismatched shoelaces she insisted were lucky. She skidded to a stop in front of him, holding a crumpled sheet of paper and a half-eaten granola bar. Her voice rang out with unfiltered excitement as she held the paper toward him. It was a drawing, 2 stick figures holding hands in front of a big rainbow. Above the picture were 3 uneven letters spelling his name in bold, wobbly strokes. Mark. Her drawing made him smile despite the storm inside him. Clara had a gentle heart, the kind that saw goodness in everyone. She noticed details adults never bothered with, and somehow she had chosen him, of all people, to treat with softness and warmth. She often followed him around with stories about her imaginary dragon or updates about her mother's flowers blooming at home. Today, her little face seemed even brighter than usual. When he asked why she had drawn it, she grinned proudly, explaining in her rambling way that she had made it because he was the nicest person in the whole school, and because he always fixed things that broke. Marcus swallowed a sudden lump in his throat and thanked her. Children didn't hide their feelings. They either cared or they didn't. Clara cared. And for a moment her small, innocent act felt like a balm over the wound still burning from earlier. As he continued cleaning the hallway, the principal, Ms. Cartwright, approached him briskly. She held her phone in her hand and wore an expression of tight frustration. She explained there had been a viral post circulating from the cafe. Someone had snapped a photo of him standing there with the rose, accompanied by mocking captions. The news hit Marcus like a punch. He couldn't believe how quickly humiliation had turned into entertainment for strangers online. Ms. Cartwright scolded him gently, telling him to ignore it and keep working, though her tone lacked true empathy. In her eyes, it was just an inconvenience, not the deeply personal wound he carried. The rest of the day blurred together as he tried to focus on his tasks. Every time he bent to pick up trash or mop a floor, he felt the memory of those cafe stares pressing on him. Even the teachers who normally greeted him seemed unusually quiet, whispering behind closed doors. Word had traveled faster than truth, faster than kindness ever could. Marcus moved from classroom to hallway to storage room like a ghost, trying not to feel the weight of people's perceptions crushing his spirit. When dismissal time came, he found Clara sitting alone on the bench outside her classroom, hugging her backpack. Her eyes were watery but determined. She explained in her small, trembling voice that her mother had missed pickup again, something that happened more often now. Marcus sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. He reassured her that she wasn't alone and that her mother would soon arrive. To distract her, Clara showed him her sketchbook, filled with colorful, imaginative scribbles. She talked about her wish to become an artist one day, describing a dream where her drawings came to life and danced around her. As she spoke, her eyes sparked with genuine joy, and Marcus felt something shift inside him. Her innocence, her belief in bright futures, and her unwavering trust in kindness made him realize something powerful. The world might laugh at him, judge him, or underestimate him, but children like Clara saw something different, potential, warmth, and goodness that couldn't be measured by clothes, titles, or wealth. When Clara's mother finally arrived, rushing and apologizing profusely, she paused upon seeing Marcus sitting with her daughter. She had heard whispers circulating among the parents, but when she saw the gentle way Clara leaned into him, she felt only gratitude. As she thanked him, something softened between them. Not judgment, not pity, just appreciation. A week later, during the school's Family Art Day event, everything began to change. Parents and students filled the courtyard with colorful booths showcasing the children's artwork. Marcus volunteered quietly, carrying tables, hanging banners, and sweeping stray leaves. He didn't seek recognition. He simply wanted the children to feel proud of their work. Clara ran toward him again, waving excitedly for him to follow her. She took him to the center of the courtyard, where her drawing had been displayed. But this time, it wasn't the rainbow picture. It was a new one, a detailed, surprisingly thoughtful drawing of him. She had drawn him taller, standing in the hallway holding a toolbox, with a warm sun shining above him and small hearts drawn around the edges. Beneath the picture she had written, "The kind man who fixes everything." Parents gathered around the artwork, whispering not with mockery, but with interest. Her picture had touched something in them, and when Clara's mother stood before the drawing, her eyes softened further. She walked over to Marcus and thanked him again, saying her daughter talked about him constantly and believed he could fix anything, not just broken desks, but broken days. What happened next surprised everyone. A local reporter covering the event approached Marcus, explaining she had heard about the viral post, but had also heard a different story from parents and teachers about his constant kindness, his quiet dedication, and his gentle way with children. She wanted to write a new article, a real one, highlighting the man behind the uniform. Marcus hesitated, still carrying the sting of humiliation, but Clara tugged at his sleeve, insisting it would help people see the real him. And so he agreed. The article, titled "The Janitor Who Fixes More Than Just Messes," spread far more positively than the cruel post that came before it. Parents, teachers, and strangers from the community wrote comments praising him, thanking him, and reminding him that kindness still mattered in a world that often forgot. Even the woman from the cafe reached out, apologizing sincerely after learning the truth. She admitted she had been embarrassed by her initial reaction and wanted him to know she never saw him as a joke. The hurt didn't vanish, but her honesty helped heal a part of it. As weeks passed, Marcus felt a quiet transformation take root. People greeted him warmly, spoke to him with respect, and even sought his advice. But the biggest change occurred inside him. He realized he had spent too long believing he wasn't worth noticing. Clara's drawing, those wobbly hearts and bright colors, had reminded him of something he had forgotten. His worth didn't come from clothes or status. It came from the way he treated others, the small acts of goodness he offered each day, and the hearts he quietly touched without ever realizing it. On a warm Sunday morning, Clara's mother invited him to join them at the park for a community cleanup event. It wasn't a date, it wasn't pressure, it was simply an invitation, a gesture of respect, of kindness, of connection. And when Marcus arrived, Clara ran straight into his arms, beaming as though the moment were the highlight of her entire week. As they spent the day cleaning up litter, planting small flowers, and laughing under the bright sunlight, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years: belonging. A sense that perhaps he wasn't as invisible as he once believed. Clara's mother watched him gently guide her daughter's hand in planting a seedling, and she felt a warmth grow inside her, not romantic, not rushed, just real. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness. Your engagement helps us spread more stories that remind the world of compassion and hope. Before the final words of the day were spoken, Clara insisted everyone leave a special comment. Write one thing you believe kindness can fix. And for Marcus, the answer was simple. Kindness had fixed him, not by changing who he was, but by showing him he had been enough all along.